documents. We're almost finished, so I'm not going to take a lot more of your time. The last three that we want to talk about actually outline the ambassador program that's allowed me to give you the special concession for the 12-month bill time, and it's also give you the special concession for the wrap on your bills. So uh, the three agreements we're going to be talking about is the ambassador agreement, and what that agreement does is actually talk through the details of being an ambassador. We're going to talk through the non-compete, and what that agreement does is it talks about not sharing our trade secrets or information. Something that we may not have talked about is not only are you going to be partnering with us, you're going to be an ambassador, but you're also going to be privy to information that other customers won't have. There's going to be times throughout the year that you may get promotional products or information that other customers won't get. So again, we want to keep that confidential. And then the last one is the W-9, and that's an IRS requirement. You're probably familiar with it. When we pay you referral payments, we have to have that on file so that at the end of the year, if you receive $5,000, you get a W-9 or a 1099 saying we paid you that. Do those make sense? You understand basically the outline of what we're talking about?
Yes, it does.
Okay, so the first agreement, or first one we're going to do is going to be the ambassador's agreement. And the thing that I will tell you is the ambassador agreement that we use is for both. It's a general agreement and it has specific agreements. We use this for part-time ambassadors and also full-time ambassadors. So for a part-time ambassador, there's going to be like some general statements. But for full-time ambassadors, there's going to be areas where there's specific requirements for posting, attending events. Sometimes a full-time ambassador will have a full page of commitments. For example, you're going to attend, 10 expos. You're going to be required to post on 5 different social media different type of social media things. You're going to come to the factory and do 2 or 3 different special photography shoots. You're going to do marketing events. I mean, there could be a whole list of things, specific things that as a full-time required to do. But as a part-time ambassador, there's generalized terms. And as we look through this, I'm going to point it out. So for example, a generalized term would be if you choose to talk to someone, be friendly. So, for that person like yourself that's just going to be driving the van, maybe taking it on vacation or showing someone at a gas station, if someone comes up to you and you choose to talk with them, please be friendly. If you choose to post a picture, make it available to Van Do It. Those are the generalized terms. Understanding how the agreement and how we've designed it is going to make it a lot easier to understand. It's the illustration that I use when I'm talking to people about this. Have you ever bought something that you have to put together and you get the instruction manual and you open it up and there's several different languages? You have English, you have Spanish, you have all these different languages. If you tried to put it together using all those different languages, guess what? It would be very complicated. But what you do is you turn to the section that is in English, if you speak English, and you put the product together using that section of it. That's what you're doing with this ambassador agreement. We're going to look. It's an agreement that's for part-time and full-time ambassadors, but we're going to look at just the things that pertain basically to you. Okay? That makes sense? Did I make it as clear as muddy water?
Yes.
Exactly. Okay, so if you would pull that up on your computer and go through this with me, we'll just kind of break it down. The first thing is the agreement. That's where your name's going to go. Haley Toomey. The next section is the section, and this is the part where it talks about the accelerated timeline. And if you notice, it says timeline and deal consummated in the bill sheet. Right down below is where I have the special note that says instead of having a 14-month bill timeline, you've got a 12-month bill timeline. And I made sure that I put that in there. Also, if we'd had any additional type of agreements, we would put that in there. But the concession that I did for you, which is a very expensive concession, is the timeline for moving your bill forward. Moving on down, you'll look. These are some of the general agreements. An ambassador will be friendly and generally willing to talk positively about the van to those who show interest. And again, should an ambassador agree to leave a review, you agree that should you choose, and you're under no obligation. Again, this is a ambassador's agreement that allows you to be an ambassador when you want to be an ambassador, but you're not contracted to be a full-time ambassador. Makes sense? Okay, moving on down. This section is for the specific representations, and this is what I was talking to you about. There's going to be sections on there for a full-time ambassador, which you're not. You have a contract in place. You can choose to be a full-time ambassador at any time that you choose to do that, but we don't have that in place. And guys, I will tell you the note on here, and I'm stepping out of the presenting part of it. The note on here says this is normally for a full-time promoter that has a lot of contractual things that we've agreed to. That's how you're explaining that section to a normal customer. But if you're talking to a full-time ambassador, you're going to want to make sure you've got it in writing and covered the right way, because we've had issues in the past where we haven't done that.
Ted, can you go back up for a second?
Yes.
So typically what we've done in the past is in that specific representation section, that's where we say what we are or what they are agreeing to us. So that would be where we would say the Van Do It logo on the van, when you're out during daily use, like talking about the van, showing the van. That's typically where we put that. Are we changing that?
Yes. Yeah, you would still do that, but that's real generalized. That's, if you've got a Thurston Willis or somebody like that, you've seen some of those where we have a long list. We basically copy and paste all the things they say they're going to do, and that turns into a long list. You're still going to use this same section just like you've been using it, but you're only going to have, like the logo in there, or just, some very generalized stuff. That makes sense?
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to have a lot to go over in this section.
That's typically where I say, like, this is specific to your deal.
Yeah, exactly. But again, the thing is, they've got to realize, and you have to realize, we've got this form set up to cover somebody like a Thurston Willis, but we've also got this form that can cover, the mom and pop that's just driving the van to the grocery store or on vacation. Okay, so moving on down, the next section is talking about publicity and how that's done. We have given you special concession as our partner. We don't expect you to put out negative information. As part of our team, we work together and we want to resolve issues together. The thing we don't want to have happen is for, you to air it out in the court of social media. You've seen how we've, up to this point, how we've worked together as a team. We've been very transparent. We want to continue that. We're giving you concession with the logo, with moving your bill forward. You are an ambassador. You're a partner with Van Do It. So with that, we want to work together with you. And, if there are issues that arise, we want to work through those issues. So when that happens, we don't expect you to air it out on social media. Does that make sense, Kaylee?
Yes, it does.
So I'm going to stop here and ask you guys. I'm open to discussion on this if you guys want to explain that differently. But I do want to make sure that we drop down and hit this thing head on.
I think you did a good job of explaining that. I kind of just say what you've told me to say in the past. We live in such a social media driven society that anyone can say anything behind a social media platform, and we want to make sure if you have an issue, you come directly to us as a company instead of viewing, a problem or situation on social media. That's basically how.
I like that even better, Kaylee.
I also point out to them, like, if you want to get something resolved, we have to know about it. If you're throwing it out on social media, there's, we don't have the details. We can't be responsive,
Yep. So any of those are very good, but I think the key thing is being able to preface your documents, preface going through this so that the explanation that I did at the beginning of this is you're being very transparent so that when you're dropping down and hitting these different points, they're going to be understanding why you're doing it and they're going to be open to it.
The other thing you brought up that I think is going to be really helpful is saying that this is the general form we use for both types of ambassadors, because
Right.
I've had people kind of question that. So that's a great way to set it up.
Yes. So jumping back into reviewing docs. So down in the sections below, and this is an area that it really looks overwhelming. And the reason it looks overwhelming, remember, Kaylee, when I prefaced these docs is I said that this was a document that's a full-time ambassador and a part-time ambassador. So if you'll look, number 2, and I've got a highlight right here, those social media promotion for us is not required. Again, this is not required. If you are a full-time, you have the ability to do it, you can do it, but we don't require it. But these are some of the things that a full-time ambassador would be doing, if that makes sense. But as you can see, we have to cover all those different type of things in our agreement. So in doing that, it kind of looks overwhelming. So again, that's another reason we want to review this doc with you so that as you're looking through it, getting ready to sign it, you think, what the heck is this? Section 3, if you'll look, if Vanduit uses graphic content you send or repost your content on social media, we will do our best to give you credit. Again, Kaylee, this is a partnership. You're promoting us. We want to promote you. So it's not one-sided. You're working with us. We're working with you. Number 4, Vanduit is granting you creative freedom to promote our product. It's a partnership, guys. Kaylee, it's a partnership. Again, I want to emphasize that. This whole agreement, all the things we've talked about, we talk about family, we talk about all, I'm your guru and I want to do, design a van that works for you. That's all about being a partner. I've told you the story of how Vanduit started, as a gift to the owner. So, again, this is just another way that we partner with you. Down to event of default. We've never had this happen, and as you've seen with our Facebook group, we go above and beyond to take care of our customers. That's why we build relationships. That's why we're very transparent. In fact, that's why I'm spending all the time that I'm spending right now reviewing the documents with you. We choose to resolve issues. We choose to make sure that you understand what you're signing. We're very open and we're very transparent. But if someone does choose to go to the court of social media and try to resolve something, then we'd be forced to take action. And, there are ramifications when people do that. That's not our choice, but we do have to have the ability to do that. but it's really no different than, you signing the bill sheet. I've agreed to build you a van, and if I just refuse to build you a van, what would you do? You would take those same options that I would be taking to pursue action against me. So again, even though we choose not to do it this way, there is that option. Does that make sense, Kaylee?
It does. Thank you for explaining.
Next one is graphics. We're just asking that you leave the graphics on the van. In the event that it's an accident, just get back with us. If it's total out, we'll figure out a solution or try to replace graphics, but that's, something we can discuss.
Ted, can I stop you really quick?
Yep.
Is there a standard for that? I know that we've had some questions regarding, because in the specific representation section, like typically I say for your ownership of owning the van, do it, but is there an end time that we want to put like the Van Do It logo or whatever's on the van where they have to maintain that? Is there a standard for that?
No.
Okay.
Is that an issue you run into or a question or something we need to get addressed?
Not really. Josh said he's had some issues with it, but
I've had some
I
issues
always
before
spoke
too.
For the owner.
Well, the question I would have is, the graphics have a lifespan, right? Like a wrap will last 5 to 7 years. What if, are we putting them in a position where they have to renew those graphics?
Stacy, I think you're probably still making notes, so just make a note on this and we'll get answers. Guys, the thing that I can't emphasize enough is the thing that's tripped us up in the past is you guys not having definitive information to be able to answer questions. So, and I'll take total blame for this. Is I think moving forward, when you have those questions, you've got to have a definitive answer in a timely manner. So I will get you an answer. Those are good questions. I don't know what the answer is. Are we putting someone in that position? Possibly. So those are questions I'll get you answers for. Just like the $10,000, $20,000 issue. We've all asked that question many, many times. Do we put 20? Do we put 10? Do we never put in there? We've got to put in there. If there's variance on that, contact me and we'll get approval.
Yeah, I just think that should be clear, like a standard, which maybe each deal is a little bit different, but whether it's supposed to be.
Okay, so stepping back into the review, next thing is relationship, and basically what that says is we love you, but we're not going to let you be on the bank account just yet. That's supposed to be funny.
I was muted when I laughed.
And then the last thing is, this is just the legal verbiage that I talked about in the very beginning. This actually just executes a contract stating that you're obligated and I'm obligated. Again, if there's anything that you want to talk through that, we can. So any questions on that, Kaylee?
No, I think you did a good job reviewing.
As I said before, most of this is just common sense stuff. And if you look at it in the right context, it makes all sense in the world. But if you don't have the overview of it, then it's overwhelming, it's complicated, and it seems like it doesn't make a lot of sense. But with everything that we've done, our van is simple in its common sense approach. Our docs are the same way. Okay, so the next document we're going to review real quickly is the contract labor employee non-piracy. And I'm just going to ask if you would click that up on the screen. And again, guys, the thing that I will tell you about that, I highlighted that in the beginning, is with the non-compete, you are a partner with Van Do It. You are a ambassador. You are a promoter. You're going to have insight and to information and exposure to things that maybe the normal customer wouldn't. There may be times that we'll send out special information from time to time, or you may be privy to coming into the factory and doing something. So, if any of those things happen, we've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on designing our van and building our van. If we share information with you, we've got to keep it confidential. You would be the same way. If you had a product that you'd spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on, it'd be your baby, and you'd hold it pretty tight to your chest, I'm sure, right? That's what we're doing with this. So if you look at the contract labor employee, the very first section that I've got highlighted here, it says valuable exposure, talents, and experience. We want to share, but keep the information confidential. The second section where it says, whereas utilize these attributes, therefore retrain, train, expose company know-how, skills, product, trade secrets, and databases in a transparent fashion. And then the third, whereas supply for certain valuable goods and services. So again, this whole document is just simply that, saying we're going to share information with you, but please keep that information confidential. Kaylee, you have questions on that?
I do not.
Okay.
Actually, I do have a question.
Okay.
Is supplier just a general term? Sometimes I get asked, people think this document is more like, I don't know, it just sounds a little businessy. Is that just kind of like a legal term, like supplier?
It is a legal term.
Okay.
All right. I also, with some of our other forms, we've kind of put the Van Do It spin on it. Like even the last one we went over at the end, it said, basic contract stuff, sort of lightens it up a little bit. On this one, that header of laborer employee, it just feels like we're hitting them over the head with a bat. Like, isn't there some way we can, I don't know, say the same thing, but in a Van Do It way?
Stacy will make note of that, and we'll see if we can do that.
Okay, thanks.
Kaylee, any other questions?
I don't think so.
And then the very last one, Kaylee, is the W-9, and that one is simply exactly what I told you. It's something the IRS requires that we have on file. You can make as much money or as little money as you choose, sending referrals and us sending you payments. But whether we send you $1 or we send you $10,000, we've got. Well, that's not true. Stacy, what is it? $650 or something?
I'm sorry, you cut out, so I didn't hear what you actually was asking.
What's the minimum amount that we have to 1099 for?
Yeah, I think it's 600.
Okay. So anyway, don't. I'm stepping back out from presenting, so don't say it like that. But basically, this is something the IRS requires that we have on file. Once we start sending you promoters payments, we have to be able to 1099 you at the end of the year. So again, pretty simple and straightforward. Kaylee, do you have questions on any of the documents we went through?
I don't. I think you did a really good job of explaining.
What I want to do is I don't want to take away your ability to go through and look at those documents, but I also want to make it as easy as possible. When you receive the documents, they're going to be sent electronically, and it allows you to just go through and click on the signatures. So, you can read them as you go through or just click through. Once you click through, it's going to say complete, and it'll send them back. So it actually only takes 2 or 3 minutes to sign, but feel free if you want to, when you're signing them, to read or relook at anything. Okay?
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job, Ted.
Alan, any questions? Leon?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I think it would be helpful to have, well, I don't know, this document with those notes that you were reading from. That might be helpful to have, so we can go just through and kind of read through those too.
Yeah. So what you're going to be getting, and I'll finish it up today so that we can move forward and have this information is you're going to have a outline training sheet that you can use to actually look at. You're going to have the documents with the notes on them, and then probably within 2 or 3 days or a week, you'll have the video that you can watch. As human beings, I know what's going to happen is you're going to be going through docs and you're going to want to do them just the way that you've been doing them and say the things you have been saying. And it's real easy to do. But if you will, the next time you're getting ready to review docs, if you'll lay out that training paper and if you'll have those docs pulled up with the notes on it, that's going to help you start formulating habits to go through the docs in an intentional way.
Yeah, and we just got to make sure if we have this document, like if we have it in PDF form the way that you do, that we don't accidentally put the customer's information on one of the like the template doc with all the word tracks and stuff. That would suck.
So Alan, this will be set up on Zoho. It'll be added to Zoho, but it won't be templated for you to be able to fill it out.
Cool. That's good.
Yeah.
She knows us well.
Yeah.
And again, guys, just to kind of recap, what we talked about yesterday, being intentional, being confident, having all the information, not being afraid of these documents, instead of hoping the customer doesn't read all the little different caveats of the document, we're diving in. Not only are we making sure they're reading them, we're pointing them out. We're explaining them. We're hitting them head on. When you take that approach and you're confident, guess what? That takes the insecurities for the customer completely out of it. And all of a sudden, then this process of reviewing documents almost becomes mundane for you. That's how it used to be in the car dealership. Instead of being nervous, am I going to get these documents signed? It almost becomes, damn, I got to go through documents again. And that's how I want it to be with you guys with Van Duit and getting these documents signed. Kaylee, I want to take the nervousness out of it and the deep breath so that I'm reviewing documents. You'll almost become robotic with it. The emotions will be gone.
Yeah, and you did a really good job explaining. I think this is going to help a lot for us to be able to go through and really just dive into it because, yeah.
It is much better to bring it up instead of waiting to see what they're going to come back with.
Exactly.
But Ted, on the build form, it's funny, this just happened yesterday where somebody said, so everybody gets something off on their van, where we've got the box that they check that you've received some sort of compensation, or I can't remember how it's worked. How do you want us to handle, what would the word track be for that?
So this is something else with being intentional. What's the truth, Sharon? Does everybody get special concession?
Yeah.
They do?
Well, you're doing the ambassador agreement, so you're giving people 2 months off.
Really? So we don't have any 14-month agreements out there?
I don't.
Okay.
Because I don't know how to get them to sign the ambassador agreement without giving them something small.
Okay.
I'm being honest.
I want you to be honest. So
I think she's right in that we do something with everybody, even if it's just referrals, because everyone signs an ambassador agreement. So yeah, everyone, in my mind, everyone gets something.
Right.
Right. So I want to back up. You're exactly right. That's where I'm going, Alan. We do something for everyone, but do we do a concession for everyone?
No.
What's a concession in your mind?
A concession means that we have lowered the price. We have given them a time concession. We've given them a wrap. We've lowered the price. We've done some type of marketing incentive.
I think we kind of have to in order for it to legitimize the document, don't we? Or do referrals?
Referrals legitimize the document.
Okay, because there's got to be an exchange. There's got to be something given up in order for it to
Right.
be an official doc.
Right.
So that counts
Okay.
even if they haven't been paid yet. Like, let's say they haven't got a referral for 2 years.
We're we're agreeing to pay commissions.
Okay.
So Sharon's asking how you explain that to a customer who's asking every ambassador.
So again, the point I was making, Sharon, I'm not making light of anything. I'm being very straightforward.
No,
so
it's good.
when a customer asks you, your question was, how do I answer that? Because the customer asked you, do you give concessions to everyone? Was that
It wouldn't necessarily be a concession. You know, like right now, we're at the time of year where telling somebody it's a 12-month build doesn't really help them. They don't really want to pick up a van in January. You know, so
Right.
this case where I would then stress the referral portion as what I'm offering them.
right? Let me rephrase the way I was answering your question.
Okay.
What we tend to have, or what we do, because we aren't doing intentional selling, or we haven't been doing intentional selling, is we don't think about it from the aspect of what's the truth. It's almost like we have to come up with an angle, or we have to come up with a spin, or we have to figure out what's the word track for that. But the very first thing when somebody asks you a question should be, how is it actually? What's the actual way we do that? So when a customer would ask you, do we give something to everyone, or do we give concession to everyone? The answer is no, we don't. What we do offer to everyone is the ability to get referrals. Now, what we've done a lot of times is because we are giving those referrals or paying commissions, we have the ability to shorten the build time by 1 to 2 months, sometimes by them being an ambassador also. So what we will do is pay referral payments and shorten your build time. We can do that. So that's a good way of answering their question without saying, yes, we do that to everyone. That's the actual truth. So many times as gurus, and I find myself doing it as well, instead of stepping back, and you can, give yourself time by asking a question or making a statement. A lot of times it's asking a question. Then think about how are we actually doing that? How we're actually doing it is the answer. You don't have to be a word track, or it doesn't have to be a spin on something. It doesn't have to be something that, is a sales pitch. How are we actually doing it? I can think of a lot of different situations when you guys have asked me a question of, how do I answer that? Well, let me ask you, how are we doing it? How would be the right way to take care of the customer? That's what intentional selling is. That's what intentional training is all about, is getting you guys to think about that. So when that customer asks you, do we do special concessions for everyone? We don't do special concessions, but we do allow everyone to be able to have promoters' payments. And by being a promoter, that can allow you to, or that can give you the opportunity to get a van quicker. Is that something you'd be willing to do, to be a promoter? Because that is giving you a concession, and then you put value on the time.
Thanks. That's good.
Alan, what's your thoughts on that?
No, I think that's good.
Yeah, you kind of get away from the yes and no aspect of it and have that dialogue instead.
Yeah. When I said ask a question and give yourself time to think, when that person asks you, Sharon, do you give special concessions to everyone? Then your first response, in order to give yourself time so you're not just on the spot, is being an ambassador something that you'd be interested in? Guess what you've just done? You've taken back control of the situation, because the person asking the question is the person in control. I don't care if that's in selling, if that's in real life, personal life, in a love relationship, or whatever. When they're asking the question, they're in control. So when they ask you that question, take back control of the situation and say, is that something you'd be interested in? Let them talk, and guess what that does? That gives you time then to formulate how you want to answer that question. It works every single time. Okay? The other thing I wanted to hit on real quickly, and I'm not going to keep you guys a lot longer because I've already kept you almost an hour, is the thing that we talked about yesterday also with intentional training and doing things intentional is if we give them so much information, and Alan, uh, your dad is really, really good about this. Sometimes to the point that it just wears your ass down and you just say yes. You know what I'm talking about? But if we do that with our customers in some situations, guess what? They don't even question whether you know what you're talking about. They don't question your integrity. They don't even question your intent. They know that you're real. They know you're genuine. They know. So, when it comes to reviewing these documents, first of all, we're changing the formatting of them. So, for example, when we're doing the three agreements now with the ambassador agreement, the non-compete, the W-9, those three just fit together because those are all about being an ambassador. So when you're explaining them, we're going to talk about these three documents, and these three documents are talking through you being an ambassador. They're grouped together. They make sense now. The same thing with the other two that we grouped together. So when you're doing that, you're just absolutely boom, 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 boom. When you get to the end of it, guess what? Even if you're dealing with that attorney that Alan had one the other day, and he's an attorney that does what, Alan? He does forms, I think.
He does non-disclosure forms.
He does non-disclosure forms. So if you've got an attorney that does non-disclosure forms, guess what? He's going to appreciate just what we did. If you've got somebody that, is just a part-time ambassador, you may wear them out and they may quit listening, but at some point they're going to know you know what the hell you're talking about. And what's going to happen is when they start getting these documents, they're just going to start clicking, boom, 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 and be done. It's not going to be a big deal. I'll shut up. I've worn you guys out with too many words. You're starting to get that glazed look in your eye.
You did a really good job, Ted. I appreciate you putting time and effort into helping our process.
Okay.
I'm going to jump in here too for a second because I've had this on my side when I'm working with people on financing. You're going to have those clients that they don't want to listen to. I mean, I've tried to talk financing with people and they don't want to listen. They're ready to move. They want the stuff sent to them and they're done with the conversation. And so just keep that in mind that everyone's, the way they receive the information could be different. So you might have to change the way you're presenting it to those individuals, just saying, well, no problem at all. Just look over the documents. If you have questions, let me know, because you're going to run into those people. They do it to me. I had a recent individual that I work with financing on, and I couldn't get a word in at all. It was going to be done his way, period, and we were done with the conversation. And I finally said, no problem, I'll send you the application. Well, then after he got the application, he filled it out. There was no questions asked. I mean, we had the financing sewed up within a matter of days. So just keep that in mind that you might have a plan also, and Ted has a great plan for it, but you can still run across people that they don't want to listen to it. So.
And Stacy, that's a very good point, and that's a point I didn't cover. The thing that you guys will want to do when you preface, and I'll just add that to the notes up at the top, when you preface with the customer, I'm going to be, let's set up a time to go through the docs. It'll take probably 15 to 30 minutes to go through them. They're going to say, well, can you just send them to me and I'll look at them? That's where you're going to say no. Just like going through the bill sheet, we're very, very transparent. I want to make sure you understand this, and I think it's very important that we go through these in case you have questions. Unless you just want me to send the docs and you're just going to sign them or something like that. However, whatever's, because you're going to have a certain number of people that's just going to click on them and sign them. But you've got to preface it and make it important or they won't listen to you. Stace, anything else?
No, I can't think of anything.
Okie doke, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you for being so attentive and for your input. I will get these docs cleaned up and sent out so they'll be on Zoho. Do you want them in a like in a grouping? Stacy, could we put them in a grouping like doc reviews or something? Or
I planned on doing them like we have the standard purchase docs out there now, all in one file, and then they will not be in your forms file. That will be more informational or procedural. So that way you don't grab the wrong file when you're sending stuff to customers too.
Yeah. That's really good.
hey, Stace, can we start a new folder? We'll eventually get rid of the other ones. Take all
No.
these forms and start doing intentional. Like the next thing we'll do with forms is like the repurchase agreement. I'm going to do a training session on repurchase agreements. So can we start naming intentional something and then put this in there?
I would ask the team because they're the ones that are going to have to be bouncing around looking for all the information.
Personally, I think if we're switching forms, why couldn't we just take the old form out and put this new form in? But that's fine.
All the new forms have been replaced, so this isn't part of the forms itself. This is part of like training procedural.
But the document review, like the one Ted's talking about, like, is that what you're talking about, Ted? Like what we're going to talk through?
Yeah, there's currently a document already out there, Ted, that goes over discussing the documents.
Uh-huh.
So replace that document with the new document.
Okay.
Is what they're saying. So because they know where to locate that right now, and I'm just thinking for efficiency, they won't have to be looking around, file to file to try to find it.
Okay. Have it your way, Kaylee.
Darn right, Kaylee.
She took control.
Ted, you know I keep you on your toes.
This is what I say: is it always has to be the end user decision. It can't be someone that's not using the document all the time.
Alan has something to say. Alan just gonna keep his comments to himself.
Hey guys, are we having a marketing meeting today?
I think so.
Yep.
Okay.
Hey, Kaylee, would you send me your word track for what you had said in that one section of the promoter's agreement?
I would love to. I actually have it written down. So.
Thank you.
Okay, bye folks. See you soon.
Be back in a few minutes.
All right, guys.
Okay, bye.
Bye.